Good morning, Devil's Disciples. That was VAST, which stands actually for Visual Audio Century Theater. Great alternative band from the West Coast. Thanks for the appreciation. I actually do believe in transmitting messages and gnosis through art, you know, music, uh, pictures, creating sacred objects, and Barbie has great aesthetics. I'm digging your beautiful altar space, sacred space behind you. Really
Thank
nice.
you. I agree with you. Creation is the key to magic and vice versa. Like it's all just manifesting on this reality, how we feel inside, and art of any sort is a great way to do this, including just like altar setups or creations of your altar pieces.
So do you create your own altar pieces?
I do for a lot of different products, as well as like resin products, things like that. But most of my altar pieces are gifts from fans, friends, family, which always means so much more to me than even something I could create, because then it has their energy of loving and caring me enough to pick out this amazing piece. Like for instance, my Medusa statue, that comes from Scarlet Bales.
That is so beautiful.
Oh, it's so nice. Yes.
See, I have gotten actually a great gift from Scarlet Bales. Let me show you.
Oh, I'd love to see it. She's an amazing gift giver. She knows exactly.
This is actually one of the most magical, one of the most profoundly touching and even physically valuable things that I have ever gotten from a sister from another practitioner. I mean, wish I had gotten something like that from a man, but I guess, you know,
You know,
it's good that it came, regardless of um, how. So this is the famous slash infamous motif from New York-based jeweler Alex Streeter. It's what they call the
it's
angel
amazing.
ring. It first came as a ring. It was featured uh, in a movie. So he still makes these rings. He's been making them for a while, and this is a necklace. And it's actually the engagement gift necklace that Nate Bales gave to Scarlett, his wife,
Oh,
about 10 years ago. It's a
that's
collector
amazing.
that has like substantial value, actually. I checked, and it is so it's enchanted with true love, with lasting love.
They have an amazing relationship, so to have a piece of that is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And then I do hope that it will attract the same to me in my life. I guess that's kind of how it was given to
We
me.
all need a Nene, I think is what she calls him, a Nate Bales in our lives. Like for
Daddy,
real, like
yeah, we need a loving daddy for sure.
yes. I was actually thinking not long ago after reading something that she had posted, you know, thanking him for being such an amazing person in her life. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can only hope to find a Nene for myself.
No, yeah, I do think that it is it is inspiring.
But they've done a lot of work to create that. I know that they it's just like anything else in your life. You know, if you want it bad enough, you're going to work at it to make it perfect. And I think it's finding that person that would want to do all that work with you.
For sure, no, for sure, for sure. And I mean, they have paid the price for it. You know, she's been married 3 times before that.
Yeah.
It's actually it's kind of the same as me. Like I was married 3 times.
Yeah. I've only had two so far, but they say three is is the
They
lucky
do
one.
say,
I
they
don't
do
know.
say three times the charm. I actually wrote a poem once by that thing.
Oh, really?
It's like,
So will it be four times the charm? I don't know if I'll
you
ever get
know,
married again.
you know,
So I don't know if I'll ever try.
all of my poetry is out of broken heart. So I'm not sure if
Mm,
it exactly works as a love spell. So yeah, here's
gotcha.
the. And I think Timothy Foster also needs a daddy, right?
You need a nene. We all could be so lucky.
Yeah, we all could. I mean, so that was just an little thing um, to show. I do agree that like gifts given by other practitioners out of love and with any kind of intention are super super powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of on this journey currently where I'm not really interested in finding another person to compliment me right now. I'm really focused just on building what's my own foundation. You know, I spent so much time and energy giving to other people in in my two marriages that I've had. One
Mhm.
was 9 years and one was 14 years, so 23
That
years of my
and
life.
that's a long ass time.
Yeah, and now that it took me a while stepping back, like, what the hell am I going to do with myself? First of all, my kids are mostly grown, 22.
Mm.
You know, I have one overseas right now in the Army. I have a 19-year-old that is getting ready to go off to college, probably in another country. And then I have my 13-year-old, so they don't even need me that much anymore. And it's kind of a weird new chapter of my life. And
Oh, it
so
absolutely is a new chapter of your life.
well,
So you are essentially stepping into the phase of the dark goddess of the crone because you have, your children have been weaned off. Is that how you say it?
yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, I still have. I think I'm going in that transition from what is it, mother to crone in that portion, and I'm really leaning into it because it's so unknown. It's a bit fearful, but I realized that in order to be worthy of the rewards of that journey, I have to really lean into it fully, and just embrace the fear, which is how we know we're all alive anyway. So
Oh
I'm doing
yeah,
some
no.
wild, crazy
Fe-
things at this
Fear
point.
is fear is a survival instinct. You know, it's just an information that you feel endangered, which means that you still care about your survival. I mean, that's how I perceive fear. When you don't feel fear anymore, that's when I would be worried.
Agreed. Um, I feel like fear lets you, it's one of those emotions on this plane that we won't, it's one of the benefits of being where we are in these flesh bodies. Um, we won't always have that in the future. So I really try to embrace it. Anything that is of this plane, because we don't know if we're going to get to come back again, you know? Um,
That is a great attitude. I do love that. You know, yeah. I mean, you know,
well,
enjoy
I
your
actually
time.
seek out
Don't
fearful
let it
things
just
like,
come down to zero.
yeah. Like riding my motorcycle every day. That's been something I started doing for myself in the past couple of months. I bought a motorcycle before I left last year and didn't get it on the road until April of this year, but I've put about 3,000 miles on her already. I
Wow.
drive her almost every single day. Um, but fear helps me. If I didn't have fear, I'd probably do 120 on her, and I'm not doing that. It's like 70 and I'm a little scared. So,
So your bike is badass, Barbie.
oh, I love
I
my
have a
bike.
personal fetish, admiration for biker dudes, biker
Yeah,
girls. That's just it's just so badass, and it's so American. That's
it
how I
is. And
always
yes,
picture
ride
this
as a
country. You
Harley
know,
too
it's
is
got
is
that space, it's got that expansion, and you especially feel it out here in the desert.
oh, I can't. Yeah, the desert. I haven't ridden a bike in the desert. I do plan on, and I'm hoping to take videos and start putting some content of my motorcycling adventures on my YouTube channel as well. And I would love to do a road trip where I just pack one bag and camp and travel the country for a couple of weeks. That would be so much fun. Go by and see all of my witchy friends all
Oh
over the
my,
place.
that would be something that I would sure be watching. Barbie Garrett goes room room on her bike on a sacred pilgrimage, seeing the.
Hey, loud pipes save lives.
Thank you, Scarlett. We get a generous
Aw.
donation here. I guess you
We
know
were
the
just
dark
talking about
goddess
Scarlet, beautiful
appreciates
being.
having a voice. I'm a total bitch rider.
I
It's
got a
cool,
seat,
friend.
boo.
I'd rather ride in the back.
I got a seat for you.
And here's the sister casting Calderon. Come see me in South Dakota.
Absolutely. Whenever I need to get a couple of things done on her, so it probably going to be next writing season. I'm hoping in the spring to be doing this. Yeah, I'm working on learning to do because I grew up around motorcycles my whole life. I've been riding since I was like 8 years old. It's one of the first things, like walking, riding a bike. I rode a motorcycle. Um, so my dad taught me some things, how to work on a bike, but mostly dirt bikes. And a street bike is totally different. It has a lot more electronical stuff, has, different
So you mentioned that
feel.
you refer to your bike as her. Does she have a name actually?
Actually, she does. Okay, so she's a 1200 Sportster. There's an 883. That's the typical Sportster is an 883. She's a big girl. So I call her Big Bone Betty.
Big
And
Bone Betty,
yeah,
BBB.
Big Bone Betty. Barbie. She's a true Black Betty. She's 2004, and she looks like the retro 2004. But I'm getting ready to do some modifications on her. I want to make her kind of like a Frankenstein. A little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Wow.
She's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. I need to get a garage or storage unit to tear her apart this winter. I need to replace the belt, and I've got to replace the fork seals on her. One of them is leaking. There's a couple other mechanical things that I'm going to get into, and I'm hoping to make some content for my YouTube channel through that too, because how fun is that to
No,
record?
absolutely. And you know what? Like I love when magicians, when spiritualists, when they like step away from the genre, because it all kind of, like, see, like, I've got this occult background, I wear occult symbols. I trust God, but like that's not all that we are. There's probably
Mhm.
a side of you always that maybe does not fit the genre. For me, it was me being a model, which is very corporeal. It's like the opposite of metaphysical. But I have been inspired by you. Actually, one of the people who kind of inspired me to embrace this was your glorious message of hail thyself and embrace your bitchhood uh, and your sluthood. You don't really hear witches, use those kinds of words a whole lot as a message of empowerment, and especially a woman like you, a mother, uh, a military woman.
Well, I was never in the military, but as a military wife, I did do that for like 20 years of my life. And here I am now, a military mom, because my son is, over in the Middle East currently. And that's what brings me to where I actually ended up settling in this country, to be near another military base and near my kids. Um, but absolutely. So for me, when I created Slutwater, which was like March of 2020, it was a real turning point for me. And I was struggling because of the situation I was living in and the things that we were dealing with, to love myself, to actually find it empowering to not care what other people thought of me. Only my opinion matters. Only my morals matter in my reality. Now, of course, we have to take a step back, and for me, it was creating my mission statement for my life. Where do I want my life to be? What do I When I leave, what do this plane? What do I want my friends, my family, and especially my children to remember about me? And for me, it was that I want to create the world that I would like to leave behind for my children. Now, of course, I'm only one person. I can only create that world in my reality. But we do hope that that becomes contagious, whatever our mission statement is in life. And the thing that I have had the most struggle with, which I finally feel like after shedding things that were no longer serving me, shedding relationships and friendships and even business partnerships that were no longer serving me, it's really amazing to step out and find people that you attract, that have the same moral alignments with you, that have the same goals, that care about where the world's going to end up in the future, and don't look at it as all doom and gloom. Like, we're not looking to destroy. I don't want to be destruction. I want to be creation. And I want my children to, if I do nothing else in this life, for them to wake up every day and to choose to be happy, because this is an amazing experience that we are gifted to have upon this plane. Um, and having gratitude for that, always choosing to be kind. It does, focusing on yourself and exuding that outward, whatever your morals are, what you want your world to be. And for me, it's kind of love and light, even though I go about it in a dark, rather unconventional way. And of course, I can be quite fierce and vengeful. I mean, I think we all, in order to survive, have to. But that's only a small, very small part of me. So creating a happy, healthy, wealthy reality to leave my kids, and I hope their friends and my family and their family, as they create one, as they grow, um, yeah, I hope there's a little piece of me and all of that, a piece of the dark goddess and all of that. That's all I can really wish for. And that's the message I try to put out there. I hope it's contagious. I want it to be. I love you too, Scarlett. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, there you
I
are. There
couldn't
you are.
stop. No, it definitely resonates with everything that you've put out there. Make love, not war. She is the goddess of love and war.
I think just like us, we all have different aspects. So before I set out on this journey of doing the shadow work that I've been doing for almost the last year now, I had done a ritual with, that'll be something I'll talk about in the future, but with Belial actually. And he had told me that not all, there's no god, no goddess, no angel, no demon that is evil. They are just like us. There's different or they are us. It's different parts within us that we are seeking in order to obtain the knowledge and the gnosis that they have for us. And at different points, different ones will resonate with us, but none of them are evil. It's man that makes them evil whenever he decides, he or she, and I say man as in human, not men.
Yes, and I think this resonates nicely with what Sister Despair says about Baphomet. Baphomet has sort of been always creeping into this show, and he is the alchemy. He is the balance. So there is no evil. We are
I
all
agree.
complex individuals.
And it's all about balance. I think I just saw that. I'm sorry, Sister Despair said it's all about balance. Completely agree. Um, just like the goddess, is goddess of love and of war. I don't think she chooses war very easily. It's usually something that really is in protection of those that she loves. But that's what resonates with me. It doesn't mean that that same entity won't resonate differently with other people.
I have certainly lived many lifetimes of war, mostly as a
I'm
man.
tired of war.
Yeah, it just happens to be one of the things that I'm good at, but I don't want to do it. Mama
I'm
taking
there.
guns of me, I won't shoot them anymore, as the very famous song lyrics say. It's getting dark, too dark for me to see.
Yeah.
Like I'm
No,
not
I
alone.
agree with you. I have honed that skill very well. Um, but it's not something I like to do. I don't look forward to anything baneful, to be quite honest, unless it's in protection of my children. And then I look forward to it. I have no problem
Then,
whatsoever. But
then she looks forward to it, because that's what the dark goddess does. She protects
yeah,
the young ones. She protects
the
children,
innocent.
and in that she is fearful. Even in the animal kingdom, that is usually when the animal is most dangerous. But it's
Yep.
about protecting the youth.
Yeah, when I lived in the mountains, we would see little baby bears, little black bears. And of course, that was always exciting. Little baby bears. Of course, you're just like, they're baby bears in the wild, but you better be looking for mama, because if mama, you don't even have to be near the baby. She just thinks you are, even if they're in your yard or on your porch, was one time with me. Yeah, they become very fierce. I agree, Scarlett. It is horrible to have to watch. It hurts my heart. My favorite thing is at this point is indifference. Unless there is something that I need to protect someone I love, I can turn that connection with that person off. And indifference is probably the most freeing personally, and it brings such an inner peace. And peace is so powerful to have that within you, to actually be able to control your emotions because you're not being pulled all over the place, or your emotions aren't controlling you. You are then focused on what you need to focus on and be able to actually do it. Um, yeah, it's been truly liberating to find such peace.
So, what are the alternatives to cursing? I have watched you use some. How about the art of mockery? Because
Humor is,
Barbie is just, she is so damn funny. You know, most black magicians, they are just like so serious, so up in their own ass. But the memes and the redneck jokes that Barbie is posting, it's fire. Like
I
it's
was
there.
raised dirt.
I get this picture here. Too bad I can't show it, of a woman who actually looks vaguely like Barbie, who is blowing bubbles out of her ass, sending wishes and thoughts and prayers to her haters.
I mean, it's not me blowing the bubbles out of my
It
ass.
could have easily been you.
If I could only contort myself in such a way, that would be quite fun. But no, it wasn't me. However, it does resonate very well with me. I was raised dirt floor poor, like dirt floor poor. If it wasn't for my dad having such an amazing attitude, choosing to be happy every day, taking us to do things even though he couldn't afford it, so we would find cheap things to do, and then the people we would be around were just good, kind-hearted people that had good senses of humor. Add in that my job in any real, like, 9 to 5 type of job that I would have has always been in a male dominated industry, mechanics, aviation, um, yeah, whatever it is, collision repair, it's always very male dominated. There's this rapport, as well as my military history, with my exes, that there's a rapport that men have with each other, and they bust each other's balls, I think is the words for it. And so I find that sense of humor still, and most will either get it or won't. It's kind of polarizing at times, but again, we're only looking for those that are drawn to be attracted to the same energy, that our morals align with each other, and humor helps get through some really hard and difficult times. I try not to do too much mockery in the point of tearing other people down. That's not something that I enjoy. Unless the other person, unless it's busting each other's balls, it's not about hurting someone's feelings, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. Keep going because I'm looking for some memes that I want to screen here.
Oh, ah, Barbie is allowed to be in the in-person coven. Oh, that'll be fun. Yes, yeah, and I do post a lot of these on my Facebook, these memes on my Facebook business page, because it is a part of who I am. I mean, just like, I don't know if you guys can see it, but my minions back there, that's a part of who I am. It's not all about dark and mysterious work. There are so many different facets to just being, I'm a complete weirdo, and I'm totally cool with being a complete weirdo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that altar space. How do you use your altar space? Like what goes there? How do you decide what goes there?
These are, like I was saying earlier, these are mostly things that either I have created or have been gifted to me. Sometimes I'll find things at a store, like some random store that'll be on the side of the road on a trip somewhere, you know. It's just, I'm sorry, there'll be like a feeling that I need to stop in there, and I'll go in and
Oh,
something,
I know that feeling. Oh my god. That's
oh yeah,
so iconic.
calls to you. Again, it's attracted. You're feeling that tug because it's attracted to you. So I have all kinds of stuff here. I have my war water. I have lots of different, because my practice is very shamanic in its basic form, I guess, bringing in lots of energies from the universe, because I do feel like
Tell
they're,
us about the tradition of the spiritual waters, because I don't think we have ever talked about it before on this show. I did show you making the slot water. By the way, it's again available. You can get these potions through Barbie's Etsy store. I will put the link um, in the show notes. So this is her creating the slot water
yeah,
spiritual
there's
elixir.
different pictures, but some of them are creating the slut water, and then some of them are my apocalypse water as well, that was created with Bael.
So
Um,
apocalypse water, would that be your personal take on war water, basically?
yes, yes. Well, when there's different aspects to it. War water, I would probably use mostly only in baneful things.
Mhm.
Apocalypse water is for great and sudden change. So transformations, but it can be used for baneful work as
So
well.
this all comes from the traditions of Southern conjure, I believe, where you have the tradition of spiritual waters, because like you get holy water from the church, but what do the conjure doctors do? They make their own holy and unholy waters. So those can be used for, to draw love. To war water would be like thrown at the doorstep of your enemies to create confusion in the house of the enemy. Or there is peace water as well, which is to bring
Yep.
peace to the household. And these
Well, water is
elixirs are,
programmable.
so they're not meant to be consumed. Uh, you can put them on your body or like use in ritual or especially sprinkle around.
Agreed. I even sell them in a spray bottle, especially the slut water, because I use that one as perfume for personal empowerment. My slut water is not about being a slut. I don't know if people in the chat know this, or that are watching. Although, I mean, I don't care if that's what you do, you boo, you know. But I'm not here to judge. But a lot of people are like, well, why would I want this? You know, no, it's about sexual liberation. Like when somebody says, okay, I'm standing around with a group of guys and somebody calls a girl a slut, the first thing I envision about that girl is that she is confident and beautiful, and he's intimidated, or she, whoever's calling her this. It's an intimidating energy, and that is what I create a slut water for personal empowerment, sexual liberation, and freeing yourself of anything that holds you back. um, that was the first step in my own evolution through the occult. And it worked so well for me that I had to bottle it up and share it with other people. And then it just went a bit crazy because it was so popular and it worked so well. Water is
Do you have any
programmed.
stories about what this magical potion, what it did to other people?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Um, do you have any like a story, like an anecdotal evidence of things that people can expect to happen when using these elixirs?
You if you go on YouTube and search slut water, there are a ton of videos that other
Oh, indeed.
practitioners have put out
Right.
there about it.
Yeah, that's
Lots of
fantastic.
testimonials.
So they have shared their own stories. That's
But
very
there,
cool.
I had a girlfriend, because of course, whenever I first started, I sent it to quite a few girlfriends of mine that were struggling themselves with finding their own personal power and in their love life, because that is something that a lot of people use slut water for, is to attract the perfect person. But of course, you're doing the inner shadow work of becoming the version of yourself that will attract that person. So I had a girlfriend that had this particular guy that she was very much into, and she created a painting for him. Well, she put slut water into the paint. She sprayed it on the paint, mixed it in, and made it with her intent of this man wanting to be with her, date her. And she ended up having a date like 5 days later. However, it did turn out a couple months later that he was not the individual that she thought he was. So, yes, it worked, but it also helped her see that she was not in the best situation to thrive with this person. So it was a temporary thing for that particular situation. It got her what she wanted, but he wasn't the right person for her. And he wasn't willing to do the work in order to become that person. And yes, she could have done rituals and spells and tried to hang on to him, but really, sometimes I think we only hold ourselves back by doing that. And then we create toxic situations. So it did help her grow enough that previously in her past, she would have stayed in that. And
Mhm.
she didn't.
And when you're in that kind of situation, this is the
Mhm.
attitude that you need to adopt.
Agreed. I think perspective is a lot of magic, to be quite honest. How we manifest, we have to have perspective of what we really want. So, looking for love, per se, you're going to change things within yourself. So, like for myself, I sat down and wrote out, what do I want out of a relationship? And if I need someone, it doesn't, I mean, I'm not dating really yet. I mean, I'm still married. So, but when I do start, if somebody doesn't align with those, I'll know, and I can be okay with not trying to force it to work, because there's so many people on this planet. The right one will be there for me.
So people like the
Almost
memes. So let's throw in some more ones. So this is from the collection of Anima Niora. Cynthia secretly regretted the previous unholy reunion with the sea creature, but baby octopus was hers, so she would love him regardless.
Oh,
Because she's the maternal dark goddess. Do you have
that's a cute.
anything long and hard? Yes, path to enlightenment.
That it is.
That's
I
my
wouldn't give that up.
favorite. Like, yeah, like Dick often seems as such a shortcut to feeling fulfilled, right?
Agreed. um, there's lots. How do I put this? There's lots of options out there that don't include a man to be attached.
Right. No, yeah, we've got those. We got those toys, ladies. You don't have
I
to
call
sell
it my
yourself short.
Bob. Yeah, good. Sometimes good D is connected to crazy.
Yeah, to a bad brain, or as they say in the version, don't stick your dick in crazy.
Yup.
'Cause there's a woman
Yup.
attached to it.
And they say there's a bell curve, I think it is, to crazy and good looks. Like, you have to, if you're good looking, then you're probably a little freaking crazy. And guys will put up with it though.
Yeah, I mean, well, hell, I am insane. There is absolutely no doubt.
But there's good crazy and then there's psycho crazy. Psycho crazy is run for the hills. Good crazy, it makes life interesting. The journey is fun.
So the good crazy would be Morticia Adams, one of my childhood all-time idols. No, darling, the devil worships me.
Agreed. Elvira is one of mine. My dad and I used to watch her at midnight, I think it was, on Saturday nights on a little black and white TV. I just couldn't believe back then it was a big deal for a woman to be showing even cleavage on
Oh, yeah,
TV. And
absolutely.
she
No,
had pasties
she was
on.
very ostentatiously sexy, which was
Oh, so
especially scandalous because she's like a housewife, basically. She's a married
mhm.
uh, with children. So yeah, Vampirella, that was one of our early um, early idols.
I I love though that she was a mom and that she was married and that she was still able to be her in a way that aligned with her morals, you know. Um, that's all any woman can really hope for in a relationship is to still be able to be yourself.
Absolutely, be with the one who makes you come into your fullness, your full potential, whatever that potential is. I don't,
Agreed.
I don't think now that I would be able to be happy with someone who not just would tolerate or, God forbid, like try to forbid me from doing modeling, but if they just did not care, just did not appreciate it, like never asked for it. Yeah, I don't know if I would, choose such a man as a partner, because there is like the attached dimension of value. So like you don't appreciate the human form, you don't appreciate the female body, then I guess what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah. Or you get the opposite spectrum where they want to control it and don't want you doing it because others appreciate it too much. Um,
Yeah, no, yeah, it comes with different packages, like you being the trophy and they having control over you. Some men have like a pimping fetish, even. So,
mhm.
like they get off of it actually, that you draw all this male attention, but they can't have you, but like, you're theirs. So it
Gotcha. Yeah,
can
I've
be
never
an
dated
enjoyable
anyone like that. So
sexual outside. You should go for somebody who's gonna be like I want to watch all these men, drop to their knees, and because my goddess is so alluring. Like when the man wants to dress you in a burqa and keeps you locked up at home. That's
a
just so
gilded cage, yeah.
that's just so sad. Well, I'm
It
not
changes
opposed to
who you are, how
these
you
things to come.
dress, how you talk to people. If you'll look men in the eyes as you walk, I don't know, there were so many things that I had to undo, which is crazy now looking back on it. But again, that's why I'm so happy to be where I am. Um, and to have come so far in such a short amount of time. It's, it the only thing I do different than I watch other women coming out of the same types of situations is work with the
So, you,
goddess.
so
You know,
you've
like,
been you've been making a lot of advocacy, I would say, for you know women, not just self empowerment, but in particular, like marital abuse or relationship abuse. I've seen you talking to a lot of women, networking with them who have come out
there
of situation.
it's pretty rampant that there is so many women out there that will put up with so much just to be loved by the person that they've chosen to build a life with. And it's really hard when you decide that it no longer serves you because you do have to leave so much that you've built, depending on how much time you have in it. I know you went through something very similar. Um, it's there's so many women dealing with it. We have to be better.
It is rampant, and I would say especially immigrant women, because
Oh,
that
agree.
alone puts you in a super vulnerable position. Basically, the American citizen spouse has all power over you, and that creates, fertile grounds for actually rampant abuse. It's going on, and let me tell you, the state doesn't fucking care what kind of suffering they create. Like,
Even as a citizen, they don't care.
oh, sure. I mean, they don't care about us to begin with, but
Mm-mm.
when they create this situation for the immigrant women, see, you're supposed to be taken care of by your U.S. citizen husband, who will file the green card petition for you, who has to prove that they are able to support you financially, because you are not able to work. You don't get the work permit until, like a year, 2 years later. And what happens if they refuse to file for you? What happens if they use this as a ground for blackmail? Like, do my bidding, or I have you deported? It's super common. And this is considered marital abuse. Like if they pull this kind of card on you, which is exactly what happened to me and what ended my marriage. Like once that word came out of his mouth, deported, I was like, okay, so you don't care about my future and my well-being. You never did. You just took
No,
advantage of my vulnerable position to have complete power over me. And
I'm so sorry. It's, yeah. I
yeah,
can't imagine being in another country without my family
living in
and
a
my,
hotel in Las Vegas, yeah, it's this sort of movie that people don't even want to watch because it's kind of too dark,
yeah,
like
when I was, I was in hotels for 4 months trying to just survive and find a place to rent because there were things that I couldn't prove because they weren't in my name, like income. It's a financial control. They do that, and it keeps you stuck. I was a mom. I homeschooled my kids. I put all of my time and energy into our children. So when you decide, or they make you leave a situation like that, they give you no other choice. You are. I mean, and it is. I was very lucky that I had people like yourself, and there were a handful of other girlfriends and a couple of guys, their husbands or whatever, that stood next to me and that helped me when my brain wouldn't even work because you've been living in confusion for so long. Your brain is no longer wired correctly. You have cortisol being pumped through your bloodstream all the time, and that continues for a long time afterwards because your body is used to that. So every time something jolts you, you go right back into that cortisol being
yeah,
released and you're having a panic attack
you,
whenever
you get
there's
a form
nothing.
of you get a form of PTSD basically,
Yes, I,
and
I
and
was diagnosed with CPTSD over
it does
this.
happen
Yeah.
to men actually. I want to make a notice of this. It's well
Okay.
less known and it's not about, but actually even like foreign men can get into this situation, or gay men. Timothy Foster says I had to live in a hotel as well, because when you leave an abusive person, you leave in a hurry, or you're kicked out. I was kind of in a position of like submit to me or suffer the fate of ending up on the street in a foreign country.
Same thing. Let me do whatever I want to do, and you can have no questions or qualms with it. You don't have a say so. Your opinion doesn't matter. And if you do, you have any issue, then I would be the abusive one because I would stand up and hold boundaries. Um, and it was the same thing, and then you leave because for me, I was scared, scared physically. Didn't know what to expect. I had never gotten that far. They say that's pretty.
I thought honestly that I might just, because I had no means of transportation. I
Oh,
don't have a driving license, I don't have a car. It was in the middle of winter. There's no public transport, in most of this country. And there's a lot of areas which are not even serviced by cabs. So
mm,
it took me half a day to even get anybody who would drive me out of there. And then they couldn't get there because of the ice and snow. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just get to Portland, nearest city, with my two suitcases, where there's a railway station and an airport, and I might just as well, end up sleeping um, at that railway station
yeah.
because I had no money. And
Can I see your statement? Nobody's asking anybody to believe one way or the other. I really don't care. This is my adventure. It's my path. It's my
you
journey.
you don't have to you don't out, because this is like not a place to confront somebody about
No, I
their.
don't think you meant it that way. I'm just saying, like, don't feel like you have to choose, is what I'm
I,
saying.
I had people ask me on my live stream whether I was cheating on my husband, because that's apparently some kind of story that got out there. Like I must have done something really horrible for him to kick me out on the street. Well, I mean, what even substantiates somebody doing that to their wife that they swore to protect in front of their entire family. Like, if you're asking yourself, what did you do to deserve that, to be mistreated, that, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Since when it has become acceptable to
To
treat
hate,
women like
like
shit?
it's hate, it's pure hate. To put somebody in physical harm and to make them fret and worry that they can't even leave the bad situation they're in, like for you, um, stuck in the ice without anybody being able to come and get you, and he was
Oh,
just
and
fine with
it's
that. It's
like,
horrible.
let me paint the full picture, because I didn't say it back then. I mean, I wrote about it, but I wrote it in a way that was very reconciliatory, and that kind of gave my husband a lot of glamour still. Because believe me or not, I didn't want to touch his reputation that I helped him build. But I'm kind of over that now.
Mm,
I was being like mocked viciously, like, you will never get out of here, you're gonna break your legs on the ice, you have to walk into the city, and like, that would be a shame, if you broke your legs on the ice and something happened to you. And then I heard them laughing on the phone with my other in-laws, acting as if I was insane, for trying to leave the house. Like, she's here trying to call a cab and nobody will answer her. So I was bullied out of what was my own house by my own husband, my own mother in law, my own relatives, the family that I adopted, that I gave total love, total power over me. I did not have a single wedding guest of my own. It was all
mm.
just these people. None of those people ever texted me again. I have never seen them again. None of them cares if I'm dead or alive. So you know what? I cursed that whole fucking wedding party. I do. Because you
You
witnessed
have to get
something.
that
You
energy
witnessed
out
an
of you.
oath, a sacred oath that I took, and I upheld it and he didn't. And like, you're guilty by association.
Yeah. Um, I honestly haven't done any baneful work on any of them, but I was in that for 14 years and have a child that is of blood to them turned on me. I have no problem with it. Like our morals, our energies, whatever it is, they just don't serve me and my reality anymore. If they don't care about me and my children as human beings that they wouldn't want to see suffer, especially my child, then fuck them. Like, I don't want that energy in my life, period. Um, yeah. And for me, I do have kids like this for my situation. It's not a he said, she said situation. It's a he said, she said, and the kids say. And my children are not easily manipulated. They're very headstrong, very strong willed. They make up their own minds about things. And they wanted me to leave, including his own child, for years before we actually left. I stayed because I thought I was making the right choice for my
This,
children
yes,
to
and
get
this is
to.
a very good piece of advice for all of you who are like in counseling, doing counseling, or just find yourself in the situation. I always ask my clients, what are your children saying? Because the children, they are invested in the mother, they are close to it, and they see the situation sort of objectively. And anytime the kids would say, oh, they tell mom, go find somebody else, you are still young, or dad is a piece of shit, that's when you know that, like, that man has just not built a substantial relationship with his own children. So if a man has lost respect of his own children, then that's a big thing to lose. I mean, that's like a very long term type of thing that happens, and in that case, I guess, the children should go with the mother, and the mother should take their advice and just start seeing it for what it is. Because you are doing it
Think,
for the kids, like the song lyrics say, but what are you really doing for them? Like, is this the kind of example that you want them to imitate later in their life?
yeah, my youngest, like I said, is 13 now. he refuses to speak to his dad. It's been almost a year, maybe even over a year at this point, since he'll respond to him other than okay, or puts him in
Re-
his place in his own
relationship,
way, because he has
you
his
know,
own mind, his own thoughts, his own feelings. He gets to have
relationships
those.
with children and with stepchildren are built and lost over a long period time. So, if you
Well,
lose it,
kids are very resilient and they'll forgive a lot. I mean, especially of their parents, they'll forgive. So to be at this point when actually I fight with him to have those, I'm like, but it's still your dad. You still need to have these conversations. You still need to, and he refuses. He just won't. And even his therapist says that that's okay, that he doesn't have to have this toxic relationship anymore. Do I wish any ill will towards any of these people? I just want to be clear that I don't. So in this conversation, I don't want anybody taking this. This is my path, my journey. This is my situation that I have been in. This is how I am healing from it, is to talk about what I've been through. And I hope it inspires others to not waste 14 years in an unhealthy situation. I wish that these individuals would seek counseling and get help so that they could become better people. I wish my ex would do that so that he could have that relationship with his child that his child deserves to have. But I also realize that I have no control over any of those things. So to just pull ourselves out of the destruction, the path of destruction, that's all we can do. I just
yeah,
wanted to
yeah,
make
and
sure I say that.
I want to make this one point, so that it doesn't sound like the bad guys are the black magicians and the infamous types and the jailbirds. Sometimes it's worse when somebody is hiding behind that mask of being the white knight.
Yep.
Because my husband, I'm also still married, uh, he was a social worker dealing with, of all things, domestic violence cases.
Oh, wow.
So you would think, like, wow, this is the man who's gonna be so different. He's gonna protect me. He's good. Thank God he's not a black magician, because they are dangerous, nasty motherfuckers. So I kind of bought into the story, and in the end, he did worse to me than the black magicians. Worse. Like, I ended up feeling, earlier this year, I was like, all the other men that I thought have like really mistreated me, I don't think they would have done this to me. I
Mm.
don't think their hatred for women and their like repressed evil side is so potent, because when we walk the left hand path, we walk the left hand path and we kind of get friendly with our demons, so we're not full of repressed lust and greed and jealousy and envy and, just wanting to hear that your dick is big. So I'm like, you know what? The biggest evil is not the black magicians.
Mm-mm.
It's the wannabe white magicians.
I I think that this is a human issue, not a religion issue. I think these types of people, men and women, um, narcissists, narcissism. I don't. That word gets thrown away around all the time, but it's the best word that I have to describe these types of human beings. Um, and I think it's in any group of people like this, in any community, any religion, any area. Even the military, you have a lot of really amazing human beings that are in the military, and they still have facets and individuals that will still beat on their wife or pull a gun on them. And they have issues themselves. It's all unhealed trauma. I think the hard part about it with a magician, period, black or white, is that we're supposed to be better. We're supposed to be doing the internal work to be able to at least take responsibility for our own words and our own actions, and to move forward, to choose differently, create differently, do differently. And I think that that's where a lot of people, when they get into relationships with a magician, especially here in the black magic community, I think that that is where we go wrong. We expect that what we're doing, the other person is also going to do, since we're both black magicians. And that's not always the case, especially whenever you have content by huge, respected creators out there that is about drugs being an acceptable way of communicating with these entities, or alcohol, or whatever it is. And then you're adding a whole nother layer to the situation that is going to keep you from, or keep the other person from, actually doing the work to become a better human being. Yeah, it's hypocritical, absolutely hypocritical.
So that was just my personal pet peeve, you know. I don't have a problem with the White Lodge as a whole. I just made this experience and I was kind of being foolish. I think I was kind of trying to get away from something so badly that I just walked into another trap. And see, you know, the desire to be loved can be such a weakness.
Mhm.
It can be such
Well,
a
and
weak.
running from one abusive situation, those types, they know how to pick
Oh,
their
sure. I mean, I wasn't in a happy place when
um,
I came to Oregon last year. I had just emigrated, left my country, sort of, you know, embarked on the road to nowhere. And once I was abroad, I just started kind of breaking down, and I was very uprooted.
You're
I,
very brave,
you
Nora.
know,
Like,
and
and for real,
that's
I'm
when
always in awe of your bravery of leaving your home like that and coming to a foreign country, and then actually falling in love, because you did. You fell in love,
I
however
did.
that turned out. To trust another human being that way, it's very brave of you. And
I
look
mean,
at you. Now you
it's
don't
not
even
the,
have that
it's not a big
albacore around
sacrifice.
your neck.
You put your life into the hands of someone when you decide to, you know, overstay your visa, and they know it very well, and they are obliged, like legally and morally, to take care of you. Like it's not a blank check, you know, for them to use you. That's not what
No.
it is.
Yeah, I guess the thing I hope people come away from this conversation, because I really did not expect to get into this. I had actually told myself I wouldn't go down this path, but it's I think it's a good thing. You know, the gods and goddesses always bring forth whatever it is that we need to talk about. But I hope that people watching this, if you are in a situation that is toxic, just choose different. It's that easy. I know it.
Choose your future.
I'm sorry.
Choose your future. You know, as they say, like the infamous anti-drug slogan, which was made famous in the
Yeah.
train spotting movie.
Yeah.
Choose your future.
Yep.
Because you do. Like, one photographer told me last year, you vote by your own body, by your physical presence in the situation. If you want to cast a different vote, if you want something else to rule your future, then, you know, start with your body and get your ass out
Yep.
of that situation. I left without having any means to even leave. Um, my credit card only gave me $300,
Mm.
and the guy who, you know, um, drove me out of Oregon asked me for $500.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I had a breakdown, like at the ATM machine.
That's insane. And that he would want $500.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, you know, that it's a hustle, whatever. It was our drive, you know, on Christmas on ice to another state. But
I
you know,
I think we need to, as a community, become better at supporting each other in crises like this.
Oh, the community has been awesome. I must say that I was very touched, by the support that I've gotten from my brothers and sisters. They are actually the only reason why I still survive. Like, I get my living wage out of donations for the most part. I was a I was banned from PayPal, and they refused to open account for me, even on
Mm.
the LLC. I have a company. I haven't heard from the immigration office months. So, I live by the grace of our Dark Lord and my brothers and sisters.
Yeah, very similar. You know, it's a financial struggle all the time, being a single mom that receives zero support. Um, it's the gods provide. Like, I had a dream a couple weeks ago because I was worried. It's been a couple months ago now. I was worried about money, and I went to an ATM in my dream. I put
Oh,
my ATM card in, and I was depositing a check, right? And it was going to give me money back. And there's people standing behind me, and it just starts throwing money at me. Like, we're essentially choking on money. I can't grab it fast enough. And I woke up the next morning. I'm like, we're going to be good. I'm good. They'll provide whatever we need. Which is something I think money usually is what keeps people feeling trapped in these situations. For me, when I realized that I needed to make a change, that's when I created Slutwater. I created Slutwater during a time where I was living in a separate bedroom. Um, I decided that it was in the middle of the beginning of COVID. You know, we're all stuck indoors. Something had to be different. And I was only allowed to do so much without it being an issue. You know, there's only certain things I could do. And so the goddess provided then too. And it gave me a standing and a platform to be out here in front of people now where if it wasn't for this community, I wouldn't have made it either. If it wasn't for Slutwater and the goddess, I wouldn't have made it either. That's very profound to someone like me. I'm gonna cry because it really was a struggle, but it was an amazing. It was an amazing journey, and I'm so glad I am where I am now. I hope to never have to do it again, but I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for this struggle. And I wouldn't be able to bring such an amazing product and other creations that I'm working on to the community and hopefully help other women and men to heal from abusive situations because there's so much of it out there. There's just so much selfishness that people only worry about themselves. Like in your situation, when you left, all of a sudden you were no longer his, so he didn't give a shit what happened to you.
no, and that's the thing. I mean, you only learn the person's true nature when there's an impeding breakup. So, like, it comes up like, how would they actually view you if you were to separate? Impeding breakup, actual breakup, or sometimes after the breakup has already happened. And I have been surprised in my life, both positively and negatively. I actually keep very good relationships with some of my exes. They are my biggest fans, basically. They still cheer for me. Others, they have gone on a path of total vendetta against me, or they try to ruin themselves strangely, kind of like, out of vengeance to me, like, look what you did to me. So you only learn about the person's true investment in you when that investment would be like gone, like you don't have anything to gain from me. So now the push comes to shove, like, am I an actual human being in your eyes? Or am I just a sex toy? Am I just something pretty that you pull from the shelf when you want to make yourself feel better? If I'm not yours, like, do you still care about me, my survival, me thriving? And unfortunately, oftentimes the answer is no. Oftentimes,
Yeah,
like, either submit or get fucked. I was begging my husband to reconsider when he started like mocking me and threatening me. I was like, you realize that, like, I'm gonna get raped when I'm in a foreign country where I don't know anyone, and you tell me to find a man online and go to them. And he continued with that mockery, saying something about the streets of Tijuana. So, it was racist as well.
Mm.
Like, sometimes the biggest
Yeah,
white knights who are, all about fighting for liberty and being charitable, they will
with
show
everyone
they will
else,
show
but
you they will
they're
show you with their actions that that's just like a mask to gain public
agreed.
uh, approval. Because, like, what was that remark about the streets of Tijuana? Or I can put you on a plane and good luck back there in Eastern Europe. See, I'm from a place where people eat bananas. Like,
Mm.
Prague is a beautiful city, very international, very desirable, full of tourists, full of expats. Like, I'm not Juana from Tijuana. I'm not desperate. I didn't come
Yeah.
to this country to be a sex slave, to be locked up somewhere.
You would have
And
been just fine there. Yeah.
yeah, and even though the government creates these situations, encourages these situations, there is no help for people in my situation. That still doesn't mean that, like, we're gonna accept it. And there's even women in our community who came here as immigrants and who went through one abusive relationship after another.
Yeah, that's another thing I want to touch on is those of us that go from one abusive relationship to another. Um, my first marriage I thought there were abusive things in it. And I had finally had enough and chose differently. And then I ended up in my second marriage. And I feel like I traded one monster for a worse monster. And I stuck in that for even longer because the mask was so good sometimes. And it's it's a sign of internal work needing to be done whenever we choose the same types of person over and over. And I realized that, like, why do I keep choosing these same types of men? And I was in therapy at the time, still am, but at the time my therapist said um, that I needed to read a book called Codependent No More. If any of you are going through this, it is a phenomenal book. Somebody like me, I'm like, codependent?
And
I'm the
also,
most independent person I know. I'm so independent, but it's a
women who
sign
love too
of
much.
codependence. I'm
Great book
sorry.
out there. Women who love too much, a true
Yep,
classic. It's about.
that's another good one. And it can be used even as a man, even though it's for women. If you're a man that loves a lot and that falls for these same type of personalities, the book that she just mentioned, "Women That Love Too Much," there's great information in there. And if you are what do they call it? An extreme independent. That is a sign of codependency a lot of the time. So you would never think that. There was a lot of things in Codependent No More that didn't, resonate with me, but there were some really good things in there too. And the number one thing is recognizing those same toxic behaviors that you've seen happen and occur in your previous relationships, and to exit when those occur. Like, you have a fight with somebody that you've only been seeing for 3 or 4 months, and that person acts like you're garbage whenever you're going through the fight. That's not going to get better with time. To just stay gone and never go back. You have to choose differently, actively choose differently.
Absolutely, choose differently. And also, like, so here's the thing. I believe that there is something more to beauty than just enjoyment. I think it actually embodies perfection, being wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
If in the relationship you are either encouraged in poor behavior that lead to your physical degradation, like, I didn't get any health insurance, my teeth started rotting because he didn't take care of me and he didn't take care of himself, so I kind of started degrading this way as well. I got into like, video games and spending money online. I was just like on a freaking downhill path in mere months. Like, thank God he wasn't like an addict apart from the video games and porn, because I would have gotten into it um, as well. If you start physically degrading while being in a relationship with someone, it's them sucking life out of you and then dragging you down the hole that they can't get themselves um, out, and they will drag you into that hole, like, and you'll go there kicking and screaming, or thinking that you're making a noble sacrifice, thinking that you're doing it for the marriage, for the family, apologizing for them, trying to help them. That the physical decay, or when people become way less attractive than they used to be in the relationship, that's like the clearest sign that you can ever ask for, and everybody around sees it. you know you are in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, I
People
was
go
sick.
from glamorous, beautiful, radiant to total wreck, and sometimes it's even kind of very obvious that there is an issue of jealousy. Like, I can only feel secure about having you when you look like shit, because that lowers your value on the dating market.
Agreed. It gives you less options in order to be able to get out of the situation. So again, trapping you in that gilded cage. Um, I was sick for 3 years. I had gallstones,
Mhm.
and getting health insurance was not a priority. I was so sick, I lost all my hair and 50 pounds.
Oh
Like, I
my
was
god.
105 pounds when I left, and I'm
And
like
and
155.
and it's actually so sad when you take the stereotypical image of the black magician, like the warlock. He keeps you locked in this dark tower. That's kind
Yeah,
of what's going on in these relationships. Like, you start losing your beauty and your health because your soul is against this subjugation. The nature of universe is free will, and whenever you subjugate someone and you start taking your free will from them, regardless of how you do it, financial control, physical isolation, or like emotional manipulation, this is what you're doing to them. And it's very sad. Like, you can actually pity the abuser, because, like, what are you doing to your beautiful little thing? I get it. Okay, some men want you to be locked up in the house. Nobody else can take a look at you. You're their goddamn trophy concubine. They want to put you in a dungeon. Okay, I get it, even though it's kind of sick. But, like, wouldn't you want your trophy to be healthy, radiant, good looking? Wouldn't
right.
you want her to be this way just for your enjoyment? And I think that's where you draw the line between, like, a sadist or a dominant person and an abuser. Because the abuser will just irrationally suck out of you, like, just fucking ruin you because he can't help it. Whereas the more conscious dominant or sadist will be like, okay, I've got this power trip. Like, I really like seeing you in that cage, but I'm gonna keep you comfortable there.
Yeah. And there are women and men that with those dominant personality, that's what they're looking for. And that's okay. I have, well, it doesn't matter to me what people choose one way or the other. Um, it's just, I think having these types of conversations helps those that are not okay with that to recognize their, because it happens like boiling a frog. It happens so slowly over
Oh,
time that by the time you realize what has happened to you, it's so bad and it
oh,
feels normal. Like that's
absolutely.
your
And right,
daily life.
it can even happen like fairly quickly. Like, my marriage dissolved after 4 months, and I have degraded like considerably during just those 4 months. I can't even imagine what would
Thank goodness that you got out of there
happen.
in 4 months. Like if it
Devastating.
would have been years, it would have been bad.
I came there with $7,000 worth of savings. I had my own business. When I was leaving, I had none of that. And then like when your visa runs out, like you're not even a person. Like no government agency, no institution will even recognize you as a person, because you as a person in their eyes is your social security number and your credit score. If you don't have that, you don't exist.
It's so hard. I can't
Uh,
imagine being in that situation.
do you want to make a comment about like leaving cults, or cult like atmosphere tactics? Is that something that you want to speak about or not?
Um, sure, I don't want to name names or anything, but I do think that anytime you've put religion into situations that have these types of personalities that are looking to control others, that people are just there in order to serve them in some way, shape, or form. And especially if you get a few of those personalities together, that makes those, so you have these leaders and then you have their followers, which people seem to want to follow somebody tell me how to live my life. I
Yeah.
don't understand it.
Oh yeah, people
um,
want to follow.
but they're looking for it.
Yeah, no,
You're looking
absolutely.
you're
It,
looking
it's
for
a
something other than the church. I
it,
get it, but you
it's
end
an
up falling
upper
into the
echelon
same type
situation.
of situations again. And especially when you have black magic being involved, where we all know that these rituals that we do, especially those that are very powerful, can influence situations in our lives, and they will use these particular individuals that I have experience with, use that as a control mechanism, because then you're fearful as to what they might do
Oh,
to your
absolutely.
family,
And
your
like
friends.
the black magic powers can be used to threaten, um, and to dominate, just as physical guns. And we know that black magic powers are real. See, that's why my third husband was a white magician, because I was like, I don't ever want to deal again with somebody blasting me with black magic trying to kill me.
Yeah.
But then,
I had to find,
I summoned up something worse, trying to
oh,
trying to avoid this. And I'm just gonna say this thing. So I think with cults or cult-like groups, it's kind of same as with exes. You only find out when you try to leave, or when you actually leave, or after you have left. One of these three moments is when the truth comes out. So, if they start ganging up against you, slandering you, threatening you, stalking you, then you know that it was not a benign spiritual group, but it's kind of a cult. Sometimes they even issue like these anathemas, like, there's like the capital punishment for apostasy. I have seen this with black magic cults. It's kind of insane, but yes, it still goes on. I have run into a bunch of people who were targeted after they left a coven, or they tried to leave a coven. Like, you leaving is the ultimate insult. Like, you're either for us or against us. I think that's how you tell a cult for the most part. It doesn't like
agreed.
matter what they believe, if there's leaders or not. If if you leave and you end up becoming hunted, then you know that, like, that's not fair. That's not right. People should be free to leave and pursue their own path.
Well, you should be able, if you're in a situation with a group of people and you have fear of leaving those people,
Oh,
you're in a cult.
you are in a
Like,
cult,
fear,
absolutely.
period. You shouldn't have fear.
And see, if you are in a marriage or a relationship and you are afraid to leave, like what they will start against you, then it's kind of the
Right.
same case. And here's the thing: you might be right. You might be right that once you try to leave or break the ties with them completely, they might start shit against you and use anything that they have on you to sour everything for you, to do vengeance. So you can take precautions. You can do what they call safety planning, or you
Hmm.
can just, take a handbag, a duffel bag, and go by the grace of God, which is what a lot of people have done too, and they have survived.
For me, I did workings with the goddess, and then 2 nights before things blew up, it was a ritual with Belial, and I could not have left, even though it was really ugly and scary, and the world kind of saw parts of that, or this community kind of saw parts of that, because I was still trying to save that person. I felt like I needed to save him from himself still.
You can't save
Um,
anybody from themselves.
I know. 14 years though, you know, you're and
Yeah, you're invested.
children.
I
I'm
understand it.
yeah, but I agree. You can't save them. They have to want to save themselves. But my situation in 14 years, because this wasn't the first time I left. It was quite often for me to run to a hotel. But this time could not have been more perfect to allow me to leave safely, to
So,
make the
so the
decision to leave, even with
circumstances
my
were actually,
belongings. Like, nobody gets out with all their belongings.
yeah, yeah. You know, I think that's a good observation. See, I left with suitcases without having meal transportation, uh, without having money. And I also
So
think that when a man uses money like fucking starvation blackmail, like you do as I say,
it's control.
or else, like, didn't you just prove by your action that you're not this good guy? Like, like, why do
Yeah.
you need to silence me by using blackmail and threatening my basic survival if I'm making shit up and talking shit about you? Like, and if you actually cared about me, wouldn't you say something like, oh, like, I'm sorry, I had no idea that you feel this way, like, let's fix it.
Yeah. Or at least let's do it to where we can still be friends.
I
I
have
tried
tried
that
that. I
route
have
and I
tried
was
that. I've been trying for half a year, and the thing is, and then like my actually one of my clients, older lady, experienced lady who runs a big charity for single mothers, she told me, "Look, Nora, you need to give up any hopes, any fantasies that like you'll be good, that you'll be friends, because anytime you initiate any communication, you'll get hurt." And I was
no
like,
contact, and gray rocking is the only way. They call gray rocking, like, I don't know if the people watching know what that means, but it's like where you show no emotion if you do have to have contact
yeah,
with these
no,
people.
I think so too, because like when you initiate the contact or when you give in, that's when you'll just get hurt more. You'll get
Again,
hurt over and over, and it will never be there. There will never be any happy reconciliation with someone who sees you
there's
as an
no
object.
closure.
Like
The disrespect of not giving a shit if we survive, if we have a roof over our head and food in our stomach, and that horrible things aren't happening to us as pretty women that have been thrown into the world again. Um, that is the closure. I don't need anything else but that. And yeah, I'll probably never speak to my ex-husband or soon to be ex-husband again in my lifetime. If I never hear his voice again, it'll be too soon.
oh my god,
I
I
don't.
totally,
I have indifference to him, but
I
I don't
totally
care.
agree, and it took me a while to arrive at this horrible conclusion, but I know that it's the best thing for me.
It's the only way to keep your peace. It was hard for me as well. Like, I remember a few months ago going through, part of my healing journey. I remember thinking, I just went from having every day, all day, every day spent with this person to we don't even talk. And it's like he could care less how I'm doing. He would rather destroy me than to have any type of positive communication. Um, that was really hard. That is like another
So,
knife in the
I
heart
mean,
at that.
it is hard, especially when you add insult to injury, and like
Mhm.
they try to take stuff from you. Like I I I had to get my freaking YouTube camera from him because he cares more about him being the star and having it. And I even like was lending it to him. I helped him build his video setup. And that those ridiculous details, then you then realize like marriage is not a competition.
No.
No, it's not about measuring dicks. It's not a pissing contest. Like, okay, I get attention from men, you get attention from women, and like we are a couple. It doesn't matter which one of us is more glamorous or more famous. We all put this together, and then I realized that we were in this constant competition. So, that's not marriage then. That's not one to become one.
Mm-mm. And you're supposed to be two separate people
Oh,
that
absolutely.
influence and mold, like you come together. It's supposed to be fluid with you and another person. I've never found that, but that's what I'm learning. I'm learning lots of things about relationships after 23 years of marriage that I probably should have known for a long time now. But yeah, it is not supposed to have any jealousy. First of all,
No.
I feel like jealousy is such a wasted emotion anyway. Like
Oh,
there
absolutely.
is nothing positive that comes from being jealous. And if I'm in a relationship where I have to be jealous of the other person, and I don't mean jealous of their accomplishments, because if you're in a healthy relationship, there shouldn't be any of that. You should be celebrating each other's
Mhm.
accomplishments and want, just like I do for my children, to do better than me. You should want that for your significant other, which of course is something I have always done but have not always received. It's But the jealousy part I'm talking of is jealousy, like there shouldn't be. If I have to be jealous that the other person is having conversations with other females that are inappropriate, I shouldn't be in that relationship.
Right. No,
Like that.
I agree. Like, if it's actual adultery, if they are crossing the line, then give them a chance to redeem themselves or get out. And any other show of jealousy is just like a personal weakness, and it's
Agree.
uncalled for. And the thing is, you can't fix that. You can't fix that because it's all in their head. Like, you could be dressed in a burqa. So I'm gonna share a fun story
I
about
used to wear muumuus because if a guy hit on me, then I must have done something to invite it. So
uh,
yes.
oh my god, but you know what, it can get even more funny. So I actually, since I had no means of transportation and he didn't want me to get a driver's license, I only left the house with my mother-in-law to go shopping like every 2 weeks. I was like in Saudi Arabian women, I guess, like they have more freedom. Like you can go shopping with your other female relatives. I couldn't. And then I was told, what can I wear like in Walmart? And I was told that if I wear something that he doesn't like, that people will like physically attack me for it.
Oh
That
my
was the
goodness.
level of brainwashing that I had to recover from. I was told that we have to keep the curtains closed all day
Same
long
in my house.
because
Yes.
I am exposing myself indecently to the neighbors who will from the neighboring property be watching my ungodly slutty tits that I'm just parading around the house trying to seduce that neighbor, you know. So,
Crazy.
and the thing is, like, you realize that this is kind of crazy, but when you hear it all the time, you start doubting your own
Mhm.
sanity, and you're like, could this be cultural differences? Maybe I'm not being a good wife enough. Maybe this happened to him in the past. Maybe I really should like dress more modestly, or maybe we should keep the curtains on. But then you live in a vampire coffin that's dark all day with a madman, and he's still not happy
Nope.
because like we so I didn't make any local friends because there would always be the risk that I would be talking to some men. We only ever went to see his or to a strip club,
And
and
it's so like, there's always a difference in what's acceptable for them and what's acceptable for you
and
to
it's
do.
also it's misogyny. Like, let's call it what it is. It's hatred for women, and it's toxic masculinity, and it's patriarchy, and like fuck that. Like, if the only place where your husband takes you is a strip club and you're not allowed to have any friends or to leave the house, if you're controlled as to how you dress, every aspect of your life, thing is,
Oh, the stories I could tell on this one, but I won't. But yes, I totally understand.
if you do all that, you still will not have it better. That's the thing. Like, you can try doing all that. You can give up everything. You give up your business, you give up visiting friends in other states. I was told that the immigration would just grab me at any airport if I ever tried to leave the state.
Oh my gosh.
I knew that it was not true, but like, imagine what this does to you, like when you're being threatened with graphic depictions of like ICE raids. Imagine what
Mm,
that does to you.
yeah. It adds a whole nother level. And he knew that you worried about it and he used it against you.
I be-
I I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I thought that, he's just one of those people who read conspiracy theories. He doesn't like the government. It took me a while to realize that it was never about protecting me from the government. Like, we stood at this bank where, when I tried to open a bank account through my business, he went crazy. He basically forbade me from doing it.
Mm,
So,
it's crazy. I
foil.
did see somebody mention misogyny and how it shows a weakness. I 100% agree. I do want to touch on, though, because it's something that I've been wanting to do a podcast on and probably still will. Misogyny it's all over the world, of course, in every group, community, whatever it is. But we're talking about the black magic community because that's what we all have experienced and hear, and what we're dealing with in this particular podcast. In the black magic community, there is a lot of misogyny, just like
Yes.
everywhere. But what I didn't expect in the black magic community, especially with
Oh,
sisterhood, these people that call themselves sisters. Um, I watched a comedy show on Netflix by Bill Burr. Was not a fan. I've never seen him before. He's a self-proclaimed asshole. I like assholes. I was raised by one, but he seems like a good guy that's looking to change himself through working on himself. And in this, he goes into some what most people would think are misogynistic rants. One of them is about how women, when we stand up for feminism, we are like, why won't this man stand up with me? Or even whenever I came out and said, I'm being abused, I need help to get through to him so that he can see because I thought it was just an issue with alcohol, that he can see this and change and become a better human being. Bill Burr was like, it's not our job as men to stand up next to a woman to fight for feminism. When you watch, and at first I almost turned it off when I was listening to that,
no,
right?
he told the
He
truth
made,
as in an asshole way, basically. He did.
yes, he made a good point. So if why does the Real Housewives do so good on TV? Like all these Real Housewives shows, Real Housewives of Atlanta, New York, New Jersey, Florida, I don't know, they're all over the stinking place. Yet all they do on those shows is tear each other down. And us women, we love it. We are their marketed to what's the word for it? Their target audience. And we love it. These women are making millions of dollars destroying each other every episode.
Wow.
That is what is holding feminism back, not a man
That's
standing up and
that's
saying
pretty
this
sick.
isn't right.
That's pretty sick. And I've actually been through this when another female, let's call her influencer, was having a wank over me being mistreated by men. Like, it's her victory. Like, it shows how I am awful. And I'm like, this is really disturbing for a
It's
woman to be celebrating, factual abuse of another woman. It just shows that you're a sick person.
well, it was when I started talking and had left, it was almost every female that I had done business with. Almost. There are a few that I am still very good friends with. Actually, I did want to make sure to plug Jen Vatsa. I have partnered with her. You can find right now my slut water, but coming soon many of my other products on Belladonna Botanicals, both on her website and on her Etsy shop. And we
Excellent.
did this, yeah, we did this because a lot of people do purchase both of our products, and this will save them on shipping because she's going to take care of all that altogether. Yeah, you can find my stuff there. I think it's belladonnabotanicals.com/Barbie Garrett.
And it's also on your Etsy store that you recently launched.
Yes. And yes, my Etsy store is Hail Thine Self. And I will have a website coming soon with my rituals as well. I started doing some full. The moon has always been something that's influenced me and is called to me to work with. But that was too amateur by the other partner that I had, my ex-husband. And so I don't feel that way. I don't feel that working with the energies of the universe is amateur. I think that is magic. And so I started doing rituals with the goddess in both the full moon and the dark moon cycles. I just did both of them in July, and I'll be doing them again in August, and so on and so forth for a few months at least. It may be something that I continue to do throughout time because it has brought such great influential energies, not only into my own life, and I'm doing them for my friends and family, especially those that have supported me during this time. I feel like that's the least that I can do, is to help their lives continue to thrive. And of course, through their lives thriving, mine does, and through my life thriving, theirs does, because we are entangled for as long
Exactly.
as our friendships
We,
last.
we support each other and rise together. We don't compete, we don't tear each other down, and we don't form these transient snake alliances, where
Well,
people just latch onto each other to, like, because they have a common enemy, because they want to ride each other's coattails. That's always fun to watch when the snakes start devouring themselves
I'm actually rather surprised. I was thinking of this morning when I
among
was getting
themselves.
for this podcast, was how weird it is that all these people just a year ago that were so intertwined in my reality, I don't have contact with any of them. I don't even see I don't go searching for them. So I have no idea what they're doing at this point in time. So yes, I see some of the drama that they create because somebody will send it to me. But yeah, the snakes are all out of my world, which I guess is kind of what I asked for a little more than a year ago in the Sister Witch Conclave. I guess it's been almost 2 years ago now.
I mean,
Was for all the snakes to be
some
grown
rituals do
in
that kind
action.
of thing for us. Some rituals do that kind of thing for us. It was a ritual of Belial for me that blew up my marriage, and I was warned about the performance of this ritual. I still did it because I'm like that. You tell me not to do something, I'm gonna go and do it. And
Same. I've been known. Don't tell me not to do something because I'm going to do it and I'm going to send you pictures. And
oh
I
my God.
definitely am doing that for the rest of my life. No one will ever take that from me again. Like, I have my own mind, my own opinion. I can voice such and I can do whatever the fuck I want to because I live in America.
Yes, the land of the free. Hopefully one day for me as well. Fuck the patriarchy. I think that's also a good note to end on. So I'm gonna add the links in the show notes. Go show Barbie some love. Uh, I really appreciate you all coming today, and everybody who is listening from the replay. I will be back soon for the Sunday Black Mass with another gentleman of the devil, Aaron Dodson. And I do have another great song from the same band for you. And this one is not about the murderous dark goddess in her vengeful form. It actually kind of hints at the infernal union of masculine and feminine, which is what we all strive for. So, have
Balance.
a great day.
Well, thank you
And
so much for having me. Nora, I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for all your love and support and for tuning in. This is not the conversation I expected to have, but it's one that is needed. I am sure that it will help other people. And again, I really appreciate everybody.
Absolutely. So hail thyself, embrace your slughood.
Heal and heal thine self.
Touched, you say that I am too. So much of what you say is true. I'll never find someone quite like you again. I'll never find someone quite like you. Like you.